Happy morning, I'm Paige. This is the Happy Kitchen, and today we're making amazing yet very simple carnitas tacos. We're gonna start out here in the kitchen in the crock pot, and then we're gonna move outside to finish them off on the Blackstone. I am very lucky to live in Arizona, and there is amazing Mexican food literally on every corner. But if you're not so lucky and you maybe live in a different part of the country or a different part of the world, this recipe is for you because it is super easy, you can do it, and it is delicious, and it's gonna get you nice and close to authentic Mexican food without having to work too hard or explore something that maybe you haven't done yet in the kitchen. Let's get started. But first, coffee. Pork roast that I have today is rather large. I've also done this recipe with beef before and also venison. I like to do a large pork roast though when I'm prepping for having a lot of people over at my house because I can prep it in the crock pot, super low maintenance, and then I just prep everything and put it all together out on the Blackstone when everyone's here. It's amazing food, it looks super fancy, but it really wasn't that much work. So get out your crock pot and let's get started. First, you're gonna dice up some sweet onions. I used about a medium-sized onion for this size roast. You can eyeball it though if you wanna do more or less. Those go in on the bottom, and then you're gonna do a can of green chilies over top of that. Then you put your roast in and season with a little bit of garlic. Then drizzle with about a tablespoon or so of agave. Now, the secret to this recipe and making it delicious yet super simple is this packet right here. It is amazing and it does all the hard work for you. You don't have to roast your chilies or boil them, throw them all in the blender, make your sauce. All of that hard work is done for you. Because I'm using a 10-pound pork roast, I'm using 2 packets today. If you are doing something like 7 pounds or less, you can get away with just a single packet. Also, these packets are only $2 or so each, so they're super cheap and make it extremely worth your while. Then all you have to do is throw your top on and leave it on low. This 10-pound pork roast took about the full 8 hours on low. However, you will see I inserted a thermometer into around the center. That way, when my pork hits the temp that I want it to, I can immediately pull the top off and let it start cooling. As you can see here, it's been almost the full 8 hours, and I have hit my ideal temp of 203. So when it hit 201, I turned my crock pot off, and then when it hit 203, I took my lid off and kind of halfway uncovered it so that I could start to settle, and then I leave it to rest in there for 20 to 30 minutes and just kind of let it sit. If you want it to come out perfect, you should absolutely invest in a thermometer that you can leave in while you're cooking. You can see here, it's really starting, it all starts to pull apart really easily, and you can pull that large bone right off. Everything falls right off of it, and you can toss that and start shredding. I shred everything up and throw it into my containers. Then, while it's still warm, I ladle quite a bit of the broth and fats that are in the crock pot over the top of the meat that has been shredded. I don't want it soupy, but I want enough that every piece of meat is covered. That way when you pull it out, it has some juice to cook in on the Blackstone. And also it kind of soaks in while you let it sit. Most of the time I like to cook this the day before or 2 days before, and I let it sit in the fridge and it all marinates like the second time, and it is just delicious. Once you've shredded all your meat, packaged it up, and ladled some of the liquid over the top, there should be liquid still left in the crock pot, and you're going to use a ladle or a spoon to kind of skim just off the top, to the best of your ability, the fat that has accumulated on top. And you'll get a little bit of the broth underneath as well, and that's totally fine. But this is for your tortillas. Now that all of that work is done, we can head outside to our Blackstone. First things first, get your blacktop heating up. I'm gonna put it just below high to get it nice and hot before I do anything else. I also have my trays ready to go. I like to bring it out like this, prep everything. And I also have this tray with all my food and everything that I need, so I'm ready to go. I don't want a whole lot of oil on here because everything's kind of already got a lot of fat happening. So that's going to act as a little bit of the extra grease that you want happening on your Blackstone. But this is kind of just that base layer. I'm gonna let it get hot and then we can start cooking. All right, now that it's smoking, I'm gonna turn it down just barely, about to medium. We're gonna get going with our tortillas. All right, so this is what we skimmed off the top of the crock pot after we pulled our roast out. And we're going to dip our tortillas and set them out to fry. I am making a smaller batch today because I don't have a bunch of people here. But obviously, if you have a lot of people, just do your tortillas first and do them in batches, keep them in foil, and then move on. Doing this with the tortillas is kind of like birria style and will impress all of your friends. It takes your tortillas to the next level. They're delicious. Now you can see there was a little bit of that grease that dripped off of the tortillas. That's going to add a little bit of flavor. I love to do Mexican onions with my tacos and they come out so good and it's so easy. So I chopped up this is half of a sweet onion, so obviously adjust based on how many people you've got. Next, we're gonna heat up our meat. This is going to take your tacos, all of this on the Blackstone takes your tacos to the next level. You could make tacos with this just as it is, as fresh out of the crock pot. It's not going to be the same though. Why you want to pour some of that liquid over, because it's going to keep the meat nice and moist while at the same time crisping it up. You can see I didn't even season the onions, and they're picking up all of the flavors from where the tortillas were before. All of this crispiness here, that's what you're going for. Was that not so easy? And it is delicious. You can find out for yourself how delicious it is by making it. Tag me in your photos on Instagram if you do, and subscribe down below. Join the Happy Kitchen family. I make gluten-free recipe videos every single Friday, but you never know that they're gluten-free. I see you clicking away. You never know that they're gluten-free. I promise. They are delicious. They're just a little bit healthier. So I'll see you next Friday. Have a happy day.